New York Comic Con 2023 is now in the history books, but an amazing experience it was. Hey, this is Tia from Geek Vibes Nation, and this video is a bit of a vlog slash interviews that I did while at New York Comic Con representing Geek Vibes Nation. It was truly an amazing time. I always love New York Comic Con. Just the experience, the community, the costumes, just all really, really cool. I just love going to New York Comic Con every single year, no matter what. And I had an amazing time. My colleague, Mike Vaughn, was also there. Got to meet up with him, and it was just so nice meeting a GVNer actually in person. But I mostly walked around New York Comic Con by myself, which is actually also an amazing experience because you never know who you're going to meet, the people that you're going to strike up conversations with. And I attended a few press panels this year that were just really awesome as well. So you'll be able to see a few of those later on in this video as well. And I'll give some context to each of them as they're happening. But in the meantime, please enjoy this nice little montage of cosplay photos that I took, all with the permission of the people who I was taking the photos of. So please make sure you check that out. And I will be back for the interviews. This here is exactly what you think it is.
I need the physical part, but yes. Love it, love it.
Oh.
At New York Comic Con and everything, where apparently it is everything Star Wars.
Awesome, thank you so much. Perfect. What do you guys want to do? I've already.
Woo! It is Star Wars today.
One of my best friends is a huge Joe fan. Thank you, man.
So before we go to the first interview that I did with the CEO, Tony of Game Therapeutics, I have to say that I had a terrible mic this time. It was honestly my first time I've ever recorded interviews in person. As you know, I mostly do my interviews over Zoom, where I have a pretty decent microphone and setup. This portable microphone that I got to plug into my Android phone was absolutely awful. Not only did it not really work on the regular camera app, meaning I literally had to record all of these videos on TikTok and just save them to my phone, but it was just way too loud. So I was shouting. I was holding the microphone quite close to my mouth, and because it's very loud in New York Comic Con, I was shouting, and that's not good. So it may be a little loud. It's also really funky. I definitely am returning these microphones because they were just awful, but I hope regardless that you can enjoy the interviews that I did.
Hello, this is Tia, Geek Vibes Nation at New York Comic Con, and I have with me today Tony from Geek Therapeutics. How are you doing today, Tony?
Doing very, very well, thank you.
Tony has agreed to kind of give everyone a little quick overview of what Geek Therapeutics is. I'll take video of that later, but Tony, please tell us, what is Geek Therapeutics?
Yeah, so Geek Therapeutics is a company that goes and spreads out the good nature of anything that's geek-oriented. We bring it into a therapeutic context. So we train individuals, therapists, other people on how to use geek culture in therapy or in a therapeutic context. So let's say anime, video games, Dungeons Dragons, you name it, we can make it into a therapeutic endeavor that doesn't feel like therapy, but feels wholesome, welcoming, and inclusive.
That's so awesome. So you're the CEO, right? How long has Geek Therapeutics been around for?
So we have been doing this since about 2009. I incorporated it in 2019 because we kept on just getting asked over and over and again to do more and more, and so it just made sense to just finally bring it all home and bring it together.
How are you liking New York Comic Con? Has it been good? Because I'm doing this on Saturday. So have you been here since Thursday?
I've been here since Tuesday.
Oh God. That's real fun.
Yeah, it's a little exhausting. I'm the one who set up most of the booth with my good friend Josh over there.
Well, I was going to say, good friend Josh. I don't know if he's okay with being on here, but good friend Josh. Good friend Josh was telling me that his feet are killing me, as are mine, so.
You got carpet under yours.
Yeah, so you'll be here till Sunday and everything. I mean, not to get into it, but sales have been good. People are wanting to buy into what Geek Therapeutics has to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. People love what we do, and we also do a lot of therapy with people too. We're licensed across a lot of the states, and so having them come on over and be interested in knowing that their stuff matters is really, really important, I think, to people, and it touches us in a place that we want to be, heartwarmed.
That's amazing. I'm not going to take up too much more of your time, but so for people who are going to watch this, where can they find your stuff? Let us know.
Best place is follow us on Instagram at Geek Therapeutics. Look for our logo. We are just streaming in there consistently and giving out free advice almost every day.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Tony. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thank you.
So the first panel that you'll see is actually with Robert Kirkman and a few of the others that are behind the shared universe called the Energon Universe from Skybound, which brings together Transformers and G.I. Joe. First of all, I was very interested in this panel because I'm a huge Transformers fan, as you guys know, and it was really cool to see what they were cooking up. But when it came to the shared universe, for the most part, I was sitting very close to Robert Kirkman, so a lot of what he said we got I got on the microphone, so that was fine. But One of the questions I did ask was for one of the story artists behind the Transformers end of the Energon Universe, Daniel, and he was very far from me. It's almost impossible to hear what he had said. So I'm going to kind of just, once I ask my question to Daniel, I'm kind of just going to talk over that just because it's a little hard to hear what he said. I heard it in person fine, but when I listen back to the recording, even if I make it loud, I cannot really make out what he was saying.
And also have like the design limitations that it has to fit in with Transformers and G.I. Joe. It was a tremendous amount of work that we were able to do in a fairly rapid amount of time, just because he is so talented.
I'm leaving.
Lead time with movies and things is probably wrong, but yeah, we weren't aware of the movies. It was kind of funny. In our first meetings with Hasbro, they were like, "We really like the way that you guys are combining universes and putting them in one big thing, and it's kind of in line with some things that we're developing, but we can't really talk about." Like they're very coy about like all the stuff that we're doing behind the scenes, and it wasn't until like a couple months before the movie came out or something that we started like more overtly like oh yeah, this is coming. But yeah, I mean, the publishing side of things is very different than their movie development, everything to do with Paramount. So like the two different sides are aware of what the other sides are doing to a certain extent, but you know, we have free reign to do whatever, and it's not like nothing that they're doing on the film side is holding us back in any way. I'm kind of you know, encumbered by the continuity that's happening, and so what we're trying to do here is we're trying to bring that magic of a shared universe together so that you get all the benefits of having different aspects of the books cross over with each other, but we're not going to get so large so fast that it gets unwieldy or too complicated. So we're trying to have like the best of both worlds, keep things streamlined, but have all of those elements that work together in a really cool and exciting way. It's really beautiful. It's really easy when you're working with someone this time.
Um,
Wasn't it? It was supposed to be a space alien invasion, so you got the story.
I have a quick question, and I mean anyone can answer, but I'll just direct it to you, Robert. When you're thinking of this new shared universe, are you making it for like the Gen Xers, the millennials who grew up on these characters, or are you making this with the intention of I want new people to discover who these characters are, but then also their parents look at what comic books they're reading and go, oh, okay, I know those characters, that's good.
Personally, I think there's a tremendous amount of potential in these characters and in this universe. I think that there's no limit to the iconic characters that have existed for many, many years in both Transformers and G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe is one of the best rogues galleries, like in anything. And, you know, there's so many great stories you can tell with the great Transformers characters. So my goal is to do something that audiences like myself that have been experiencing these characters for years will love and enjoy, but to also create this shared universe that is this environment that has these characters playing off each other in a way that hopefully people that know nothing about these characters can come in and see, like that we're building our own world, our own universe that you know, has as much depth and intrigue and potential as what Marvel and DC have been able to build. So the goal is to try and make something that a wide array of people can read. And I think that, you know, taking my audience that have been reading my creator-owned books and giving them Void Rivals and slipping a Transformer in it and making it them, you know, go, oh, okay, well, I know this Daniel Warren Johnson guy did a powerbomb thing, and this is super cool, so I like his work. So I don't read Transformers, but I'm now going to try this book. And we actually are pulling in people that, you know, I'm hearing constantly, like, I don't know a lot about Transformers and G.I. Joe, but these things are cool as heck. And that's really exciting to us. And at the same time, we're trying to straddle that line so that we're, like, you know, honoring the fan base that already exists and doing things that will appeal to them as well. So we're trying to do everything all at once.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
So yeah, we're working on that. We want to make sure We do we should fix that. We asked that for and it's still higher. Yes, we will have announcements.
Properties. There's a lot of things like G.I. Joe Real American Hero that exist outside of the Energon Universe that we'll be doing, and a lot of that is going to be reprinting classic material from the other publishers.
Next year is Transformers 4.
So, Robert, this is for you. Going back just briefly to the IDW, like Transformers universe, where there was so many different stories within that universe, More Than Meets the Eye, Robots in Disguise, Dark Energon, All Hail Megatron. With this shared universe, is there a idea to make sure that it never gets too confusing, or that people can catch on of what's within? I know you mentioned the emblem on the top of the comic book, but when you're just making this universe and everything, are you sitting there going, let's not have too many stories, that way everything kind of comes together cohesively?
I think it's there will be a ton of stories. Well, I mean, there's going to be things outside of the Energon universe, so that's where you'll see, possibly some side stories or things that that take place in another continuity or a new continuity or whatever. But the goal right now is, that there will be a Void Rivals issue 50, that there will be a Transformers issue 50, that there will be, eventually, whatever G.I. Joe books replace Duke or Cobra Commander. Like, everything will be contained within a series that makes sense. So, like, our Transformers series is not going to be stacks and stacks of, like, mini-series and other series that are all coming out at the same time. Within the Energon universe, the Transformers stories will be told in the Transformers series. And hopefully we'll get to 100 and 150. I mean, I'm trying to look at this with, like, far-reaching plans in mind, just because IDW had the licenses for 17 years. Yeah. That's a really long time. You do a lot of really cool stuff in that time. I only did Invincible Walking Dead for 15, 16 years. So, I'm hoping that, like, we can have that kind of longevity with this, and we'll see where things go. But keeping things self-contained to individual series is kind of the goal, to help keep everything streamlined.
Thank you. Robert. Hi, how are you? Tia from Geek Vibes Nation. My question is for Daniel. I'm a huge Transformers fan, and the IDW Transformers run kind of like dominated things for a really long time. It's become like the staple of what many people think about when they think about the Transformers lore. Then in that case, what was your approach then in kind of making sure that you still were speaking to Transformers fan, but letting them know this is not IDW, this is Skybound, we're doing something new? And so kind of, I don't know if that question really makes sense, but I hope it does.
As you heard, what I ask is, did IDW essentially have an influence on what he was doing with Skybound's version of Transformers, considering IDW had the license for Transformers for, I think, about 17 years? And Daniel was very honest in saying that he really didn't read the IDW version of Transformers, so he really didn't read More Than Meets the Eye or Robots in Disguise, but he did read All Hail Megatron. But for him, that made it easier to come up with his own stories without worrying about either copying IDW's or being too close to IDW's, or think about maybe what people would preconceive him should doing because of IDW's version of these stories. This second panel that I was involved in was for the upcoming Netflix Scott Pilgrim anime, which is really like fun, honestly, to even be a part of this press panel, because Scott Pilgrim, I think, just did its like 10-year movie anniversary. People love Scott Pilgrim. And with them coming up with an anime for Netflix, that's really cool. So I was able to speak with BenDavid Grabinski as well as Bryan Lee O'Malley. So this first one is with BenDavid, and BenDavid didn't want to be on camera. So out of respect, I'm just popping up a picture that I took of the two of them with their audio.
Possible, and I also, from the beginning, Bryan and I agreed that if we didn't get everybody, then there was no point in doing it. Wow. Like, I've made the dumb analogy once, but like when I was a kid and I saw Return of the Bar, and everyone's in there except Robin Williams, I'm like, well, why didn't you get the other people? You're just reminding me of that cast. But everyone said yes. Edgar reached out to all of them and sent them the scripts and told them about our take, and they all said yes really quickly. Wow. And I'll never get it. It doesn't make any sense, but since the show exists and they did it, I know it happened, so it's real, but it also still doesn't really make any sense to me.
Hi, Tia from Geek Vibes Nation. Very nice to meet you today. So, I mean, Scott Pilgrim versus the World obviously started as a graphic novel, but I mean, I'm a 90s kid, and everyone in like high school and everything at the time was really into it. When you were making this for Netflix, this anime, was it important to keep all like the references and everything from the original, or were you trying to then make sure that you crafted it to go to a newer audience of today, of people who hadn't seen, say, the original movie?
I unfortunately created a really difficult bullseye, which is that I wanted it to work for both. Mm-hmm. Is that I wanted it to work for huge fans and for people who have no exposure to any of it. And that, or was our kind of North Star in the entire process, is every single moment of it was, how will this feel for people who are obsessive and know it really well, and how will this work for people who have never seen any of it? And we wanted both of it to work, which is like, you know, it would have been easier for ourselves if we just picked one or the other. But I would just love for, especially like for people who grew up with it and now maybe want to show it to their kids. It's like, I always felt like if someone goes home for Thanksgiving and maybe like they're, you know, they have maybe a cousin in middle school or their kids or whatever who've never seen any version of it, they could watch it together. Like, I like co-viewing experiences.
Right.
And the show is mostly all ages. I mean, it's, you know, Julie says a lot of profanity that gets bleeped, but I personally don't have an issue with that. But I had made something else called Are You Afraid of the Dark? And so many people who watch that would be like people in their 30s, and they would watch it with like their teens, and that meant a lot to me, and I was hoping we could kind of have the same thing here.
Awesome. Thank you. When you first even created like Scott Pilgrim, obviously everyone wants their creative baby to do well, but did you ever think that it would be such a cultural phenomenon where now it's being brought back and people reference it? So
No, hell no. It's like, it's a little black and white comic. I didn't have fans back then. I didn't know that anything would happen with it. I was just trying to capture something from my life and my neighborhood and my interests in video games and all that stuff. I couldn't have imagined it. But like the movie started happening pretty quick after the first book. Got to talk to Edgar Wright, got to take small steps into that like world. And then after the movie came out, obviously the movie didn't do that well. So it's like everyone kind of scattered to the four winds. I thought it was over. But it's never been over. It never went away. Like a couple months later, we were doing screenings in LA. We're doing signings for the Blu-ray and stuff. And like the fandom never kind of like died down. It only kept growing. So yeah, it's all thanks to that. Like, you know, a decade plus later, we got to start working on the show.
Awesome. Moment after you saw the movie, after you saw the final product, and you're like, if I got the chance to redo this story, I would do something different, so that then you implement it into now this anime.
Not really in such straightforward terms. Just, you know, maybe like things I would think about over the years. But when you make a movie, I mean, I was not the movie maker, so I was just kind of like, team movie. Let's make a good movie, and then it all comes together. You know, and maybe some parts are successful and some parts aren't, or maybe it does bad or at the box office or whatever. It's none of my business. Like, you know, we did our best. We all put our all into it, and we all loved it. You know, flaws and all, and you know, this is just an opportunity to do something fun and new and bring other shadings to it.
And clearly, the world loves it because now we have it back.
Yeah, I hope they keep loving it after the show. I hope I don't break their hearts with the show.
I have a question that I am 100.
Review I did of the day was honest. It it was not a disaster because it was for a company, Brugschneider, which they're like a costume company. They make really, you'll obviously see, they make really fantastic costumes for like LARPing, Renaissance Fair, anything that you can think of. And I spoke with Mike and Marcus for this company, and again, they were really, really nice. I mean, you can tell that they really enjoy what they did. They were tired as well, because who isn't tired after being there for a few days at New York Comic Con? I mean, I was only there on a Saturday and my feet were effing killing me. What makes this interview a little bit of a disaster was this was the last interview of the day, and as I said, the mics I had sucked. Pretty much halfway through my interview with them, one of the mics completely crapped out, so you unfortunately can't even hear what they were saying for like a solid minute. I had to cut that out, which was really too bad because they were just so nice. And Mike was showing off one of their like, I forget what it's called, honestly, but he was showing off one of their products because these are not just like pool noodles that are being used in the LARPing world. There's some really cool stuff, and he was showing that off, and I could not get that on the microphone. And then I used my other mic, which was, worked, but I mean, I just lost a little bit of that interview as a result. But yeah, this was a great interview because it was so nice meeting Marcus and Mike of Brugschneider, as well as meeting Mike's daughter and wife, who were there also at the booth. But it was a shame that the mic crapped out, and I lost a little bit of that interview as a result. But still a great interview, so please check it out.
And Mike from, am I pronouncing this right? Brugschneider? Yeah. All right, cool. How are you guys doing today?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah, couldn't be better unless except for like if my feet were in some kind of pillows.
Well, you were telling me about your shoes and everything, so they're a good drip over here.
And the padded floor is a veteran floor.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you guys tell me a little bit about your company? I mean, I see some amazing costumes behind you. So what's going on here?
I think Marcus is best. Marcus is a co-founder and has been at the wheel for the first 10 years. So I think you should start there.
Okay,
all
cool. Hey, Marcus.
So, Brugschneider at heart is a LARPing company. So we run the biggest LARP in the world with 10,000 attendees for a week, doing gigantic battles, 5,000 against 5,000 people. And at the same time, we provide this community with their costuming needs, because a live-action role-playing game actually involves being costumed. And so this is the big difference from what we are doing to, I would say, a regular costuming company, because everything we produce is meant to be actually used in battle, in actual situations.
For an extended period of time.
You probably even sleep in it, for an extended period of time. Yeah.
The email that I had, right? The woman was saying that what goes on, right, is not just like pool noodles being used. It's like actual good stuff. So I mean, what was like the inspiration to even want to do? All right, so you were talking about the armor set and everything. Can we take a look at that?
Sure.
All right. Look how beautiful this is and everything. So this is the armor set that you were talking to me about, and you were saying that you didn't even have this on Thursday.
Well, yeah, this is so brand new, it's never been seen. But I think a couple of things I like a lot about this is how customizable it is. So here on this mannequin, if this was a human, this guy would be like 6 feet and like 130 pounds.
Yeah.
In our photo against the wall, which we can show you later.
Yeah.
The model in that photo is like 6'6", like 350 pounds, wearing the same armor.
Wow, that's
so it's adjustable in that way, and they also have this. We call it the armadillo armor. But all this is flexible because it's designed to be worn for days on end, out on a battlefield.
That's awesome. Can you show me the poster and everything?
He's like 6'6" or 350
There's
pounds.
also, I don't know if it's easier, but it's on the back of his hat.
Do you mind being on camera for a hot second or no? And what's your
I
name?
did my makeup.
And it looks fabulous. What's your name?
Sydney.
Sydney?
Sydney. S-Y-D-N-E-Y.
Oh, okay.
Like the city.
Like the city, okay. Because I have a best friend named Cindy, so if I wanted to make the
Very
difference.
similar.
First of all, can we take a moment to appreciate your makeup, your drip, and everything?
I would love that.
Yeah.
It's been sorely, like, nobody's commented on it.
I'm complimenting on it because the earrings, the necklace, it's amazing. How long have you been working for this company?
This is it.
This is it?
Yeah.
Well, if you notice a resemblance,
Are you guys related?
Only a little bit.
Only a little bit.
only
And don't tell
50%, and it can't be proven.
It can't be proved. Oh, okay. Maury show? Oh, okay, okay.
It's a family business.
What do we feel about family Marcus and Mike? Is this the nuttiest interview that you've ever experienced?
First one in a while, but
Okay.
actually, I've had worse.
You've had worse. Okay. So you're saying this is bad? No.
I'm saying this is awful. No.
Okay. Cool.
I'm expecting so whatever.
My bad. But yes. Anyway. No, I mean, listen, I think it looks amazing and everything. I've been going actually to the Renaissance Fair in Tuxedo, New York for a really long time. So seeing people like out and about wearing stuff like that, I think is like really cool. So
I think that at the heart of everything is and I think in particular these last couple, so particularly post-COVID, I think there's a consumer trend leaning heavily into experience. And what we're providing is the costumes we make are a conduit to an experience. And so it's different from other types of merchandise. It's really, you put this on and you become somebody else. You become this experience with your friends, with 10,000 people in the woods in Germany, or at a Comic-Con, or wherever it may be, or maybe it's just game night with your buddies. But we're building this experiential,
experience.
This is day 3. Interview me on day 1. I'm like really sharp.
Well, listen, I'm not going to take up any more of your time.
No.
Thank you so much for everything. And again, online, you said, right? Is where everyone can find this?
Yeah, Brugschneider.com is the best place.
Are you guys all on like social media and stuff like that?
All the usual spots.
All the fun stuff. Cool. Well, again, this is Tia from Geek Vibes Nation. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Marcus. And thank you guys. And all right, that is the end of the New York Comic Con vlog by yours truly. I believe Mike is also putting together his own stuff because he was there all 4 days of New York Comic Con. So make sure you check that out. I know that he had a lot of interviews and panels that he also attended. So I personally am looking really forward to seeing that as well. So this is just my experience of going down there on Saturday at New York Comic Con and the interviews that I did, the pictures that I took. They're really fantastic. So if you were at New York Comic Con, please let me know. Did you cosplay? What you cosplay as? And please consider liking and subscribing to Geek Vibes Nation, because we are certainly not done with it just being New York Comic Con. We're trying to get to all of the conventions. So if there is a convention that is near you and maybe one of us GVNers are nearby and we can go and attend, so make sure to let us know. But in the meantime, I'm tired still from yesterday, so I will see you guys later. Bye.